I moved here from Venezuela to the United States. My brother-in-law and his wife, they followed us soon after, and we all wanted to start a better life. However, we're a little bit more fortunate than they were, so we decided to let them stay at our place. And, well, we would hope that they get a job soon and maybe contribute to some bills. But, well, that didn't really happen. My brother-in-law's wife, she became pregnant. Not with one baby. Not with 2 babies. 3 babies. And this was not on one time. They're not twins. No. We kept them at our house for the first baby, and even the second. But I'll be honest with you, after the 3rd baby and 2 years down the line, when they're still not contributing, my husband lost it at his brother and kicked him out. Can you believe that the entire family is coming at us now for basically making them homeless? I'll start my story at the beginning. I'm from Venezuela, and I arrived in the USA 4 years ago. I came with my husband Aaron, his brother, Manuel, and Peep's girlfriend, now wife Maria. With them was Miguel, their son, who was barely 2 years old at the time, and we had a rough life in our country. And we had the opportunity to move north, and we did not think twice. Sure, it was difficult, and we had some big bumps at one point. Aaron and I thought we were going to split up, but we thought through it, and now we're fine. Nothing extravagant or super fancy, just fine. Not a lot of luxuries, but at least comfortable in a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom residence. Not bad, right? Well, first I'll comment on our situation in the house. I started out as a housekeeper and worked my way up to being a hotel manager, where I'm currently staying. I get to decide my shifts and I get to manage most of what goes on there. Meanwhile, Aaron is having a great time in a coffee shop as a barista. He took a couple of courses before coming to the country, and they say that his coffee is one of the best in town, which I don't doubt. Such was our luck and management skills that not only were we able to get the apartment, but we were even able to cope with the news when we were greeted by the arrival of our son Jose. It was like a bucket of cold water, actually, but we decided to face it with our heads held high, and we got ahead, having now a 2.5-year-old boy. That's when Manuel and Maria appeared. They, on the other hand, have not had such a good time. When Jose was born, we asked them to be his godparents, since we didn't have many close acquaintances by then in the city, despite having been there for almost 2 years. And since then, they've used that title to be able to look towards us for help. When we first arrived, we split almost instantly, with them having a small apartment. Nothing fancy like us, just small 2-bedroom apartment that they hardly could afford, but last year we got the news that Maria was pregnant again, and it was right around the same time that I became a manager. They initially panicked, even to the point of considering getting rid of the baby, but this option, or even their plan B, which was to leave the country and return, involved too much money, so they were up against the sword, and the other sword. That's where we came in. They had so many expenses with medical bills and medicine that they came up to us asking for some help. Since we were their closest relatives, we believed in family solidarity because we Latinos are usually seen as very family-oriented people. Well, our families are indeed very large. Not everyone is in a position to help, and when we came to the US, we made a pact to help each other no matter what. Not only did we decide to help them with money, but we were also their emotional support and even told them to stay with us at our place until the baby was born, so they can save up a little bit of money. Manuel was on almost brutal unemployment streak, where in 1 year he had already had 3 or 4 jobs, and I don't remember, while Maria, because of her condition, would have to start working at home, painting nails and things like that. She had prepared herself in Venezuela for this, taking courses in the same way before we came to trained in several areas. Well, all of us except for Pepe, who was always confident that he could get ahead on his own. We were able to have them stay at our place for a few months while we saved money for the baby's arrival. Our kids played together, and the truth is that even though things were tight, we still got by. At least Manuel and Maria could take care of their children, so we were spared the babysitter. However, not everything was so rosy. Sometimes there was friction between Aaron and Manuel over money. There came a time when we even had to call their mother to get them to stop fighting. "Fighting over money? You brothers, what a shame," their mother would say by video call, to whom felt sorry for not being able to help from a distance, since we had originally come to the country to pursue the American dream, knowing that we would have to work our butts off to do so. But hey, things were rough, very rough, but at least we were able to get by long enough for little Maria to arrive with us. Maria Consuelo. She's the most beautiful baby in the world, and she arrived as healthy as could be. But that leads to more expenses, you know. Miguelito is about to start school, and we're a little worried about how the new dynamic is going to be. Manuelis is very overprotective, and it's hard for him to let go of the children. I don't know how he's going to do in the rep meetings, but I digress. What I want to say as such is that I'm worried about something, which is no longer about favors, but about conscience and responsibility. Maria just told us, or, well, she told me secretly that she's pregnant. Again. A third time. Goodness gracious. I don't know how Arian's going to take it. This comes as a bucket of cold water because in just a couple of months, they were going to be moving out, but now, with this on top of it, I feel like we will have them back together for a long time. Don't get me wrong, they're family, but I feel like scolding them for their recklessness. You don't know what we went through so that Maria Consuelo could come into this world, and now, another baby? Don't they know what a dang condom is? I feel frustrated and helpless at this point, and I feel we have to ask our relatives in Venezuela for help, which is sad. I've been talking to Maria to see how we'll tell Aaron, as we feel he won't take the news very well. I'll try to soften it a little, but don't believe me. I'm also upset. I mean, can't we just get ahead because of them? And when they have this third baby, what's going to happen? Are they going for a fourth? We're talking about 3 babies in less than 5 years. And they're not capable of having even one. We'll be thinking of alternatives, but so far, all I can do is pray that my husband does not get too upset. Or worse, beat his brother into oblivion. The apartment will eventually not be able to house all of us, and we'll have to consider a larger place, but paying for it together so we can be more comfortable. Something I'm not very about, because I want to have my privacy with my family, or, well, my nuclear family, you know what I mean. We'll be discussing it with Aaron, and then I'll tell you how it came about. Update number 1. Okay, we talked maturely as possible, I guess. However, the result was not the best. First, we waited until the kids were asleep after dinner, and then we sat Aaron down at the table with Manuel in the other side of the kitchen. I started by saying to him, "Aaron, we need to talk." In retrospect, I realized that was not the best phrase to start the talk with because of the bad reputation that sentence has. Aaron, when he calmed down, told me that he even came to think that any of the 3 of us were part of an affair and we were going to confess to him. At which point Maria went on saying, "First of all, Aaron, we want to apologize to you too, and you've known how to help us and put your shoulders to cry on several occasions." Aaron just immediately detonated. "Don't tell me that you're finally leaving." That fell a little heavy on us because then Manuel continued the story. No, we're going to have another baby. And guys, I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that I've never seen my husband more white. Absolutely pale. I feel that if we had said something like, "Your mother's in the hospital," it wouldn't even affected him as much as this. I'll quote you his words exactly, but hey, they may be a bit strong. Look, a-hole, I can't believe you're reckless enough to keep bringing children into this world. Tell me, what were you thinking? No. Seriously, tell me what you were thinking. There was a little pause that I tried to cut off, but Aaron got defensive and said, No, I'm asking you, I'm asking my brute brother to explain himself to me because I have news for the both of you. Our kindness is not for free. We work too hard for you to go through life doing whatever you please. Well, things got ugly when Manuel tried to excuse himself, saying that, hey, can't help it, man, the rubber broke, or something like that. But it was extremely known that it was a lie, so Aaron's speech continued. I work my butt off. My wife, too. Heck, even your wife works her butt off, and you can't even keep a job for more than 2 months. He then started saying things in Spanish that I can't nor know how to translate, but trust me when I tell you that they are heavy. Thank goodness Aaron was able to contain his tone as not to wake the babies, but not after this. He got more color than ever. I thought at one point he was going to throw them onto the street, but after a while he calmed down and started rubbing his temple. We decided to talk about it the next day. Today, and I don't know what to expect. Update number 2. Unfortunately, what I assumed came true. Manuel and Maria had to leave the house this morning, and I feel terrible about it. We tried to talk it over, but in the end, we had to let them know that this place was too much too little for all of us. I mean, we're talking about 8 people, most of them babies, in a single apartment. Besides, Aaron and I are always working, and we're the ones who have to deal with the expenses of the nanny. Well, Manuel used to take care of the children, but with his many jobs, he is outside and, well, usually not here. Even Aaron told them, once he was cold-headed, that it's not that we don't want them here. It's that we cannot afford it economically. It was all very rushed, and they even left things of theirs here. They were going to stay with some of their friends, claiming that they were going to be a good family, something that hurts us a lot but also annoyed us. We've been quite good and permissive with them, and for them to say that we're not enough makes them look like freeloaders. We tried to provide solutions, but it really saturates the space in the apartment, and although it has enough rooms, soon it won't be enough. Besides, the fact that we don't have much privacy per se, and I think one of the strongest aspects of that matter is that we have not yet told Aaron's mother. She undoubtedly have something to say about it, but I don't know what yet. We're already prepared to refute any alternative she has concerning maintaining the relationship with Manuel and Maria. There's a limit to trust, and one can abuse it. Eventually, we will deliver their things to them, I don't know, with a moving truck or something. But for now, I just hope it all goes well. Even though he's barely 3 years old, little Jose is surprised to not see his little cousin next to him in his room anymore. They used to play so much fun together, but now the dynamic has been cruelly broken by adults. And well, I hope the children won't resent us in the future for the decisions that we make. I'm sure Jose is going to start crying, kicking, and asking, "Where's Aguel?" And I won't know how to answer him or what to say. I'm guessing he went shopping with the dads, and they'll be back. She also asked what about her cousin, the new little baby, Maria Consuelo, but we told her that she had been taken away too. I also know that today he will start crying at night and ask to sleep next to Aaron and me, and I hope he doesn't get used to it, as we've always been recommending that our son sleeps in separate rooms, just to understand limit, order, and rules. But if we allow him to do so, he may be a spoiled child. He enjoyed Miguel's company, and if necessary, I would swallow my pride. I would be able to take him to Manuel and Maria's place, or have them come to our house just to talk. Update us and see if there's a possibility of, I don't know, at this point I don't know anything. Update number 3. Something strange is going on around us, guys. And I feel that Manuel and Maria have something to do with it. I'll explain it better. It's been about 2 or 3 weeks since we had the problem in the house when it was said about the new baby and that we could not be helping them anymore because of their irresponsibility. Well, oddly enough after that, or at least a week after that, several people around us started behaving strangely towards us. It started at the corner supermarket, which we frequent because it's also run by Latinos, and usually the girl who attends us is very nice. Sometimes we chit-chat, mostly when I was with Maria, as she looked like, well, an always-on-the-radio person. In Venezuela, we came to the term catora, which basically translates to parrot, for people who never shut up or who are always looking for conversation with others. Well, Maria is a catora, with all the people around her, and normally this was passed on to me, so I went to greet the girl who attends us. I expect to have a good deal with her, and this time it wasn't like that. She didn't even look at me, and I greeted her, "Hola Vanessa, ¿cómo estás? ¿Puedo decirme dónde están los melocotones?" Which basically means, "Hi Vanessa, how are you? Can you tell me where the peaches are?" And she just said, without looking at me, "Aisle 3, pointing to it while continuing with her cell phone. I thought it was rude of her, and besides, she usually speaks to me in Spanish with our native tongue. Well, I didn't think much of it, because maybe she was in the middle of some private business and had to keep an eye on the screen. The second occasion was a little less subtle, and it was one that made me come here to write. It was in the nail salon where Maria used to work, and when I stopped by to say hello for a quick job, I was told all at once that they didn't have room, even though half the place was empty. When I pointed it out, they said the half of the chairs were in the middle of a maintenance process, so they used to stay away from the customers for the day. It was all a dirty lie. Because when I passed again in the afternoon on my way back from work, I saw that the place was full, so I got the hint. How did I realize that it could be them? Because when we had a video call yesterday with Aaron's mom, she told us that her brother was not having a very good time and that we should help, because he and his wife needed support, and she said, "I even feel like taking the first flight out there, so I can pull both of their ears." Aaron did not respond well and said that this was a serious matter and that he had no time for games. He started complaining about his brother and about how much he had made the transition to the new country difficult because of all his irresponsibility. He even came close to touching on a few points that we promised not to do out loud, but he was getting on his nerves. And that's when his mom told him to be careful not to blow up because it could go badly. She mentioned that aspect I told you about Maria and how she could become a friend and enemy of people and turn against them. He did not say it directly, but it made me understand that from now on, things in our streets could change. When Aaron went to take a bath for a moment, I asked his mother how Manuel and Maria were doing, since we had not heard from them for a few days. She told me they were fine, kinda, at one of Pepe's works friends, and I was supposed to learn that Manuel had a new job. She told me that almost the day after they left her house, he had gotten a job. I admit that made me a little happy, but I have to see this project of, well, the parrot that was the bird's name, gossipy and angry neighbors with us, is going to escalate. Because if there's one thing I'm proud of, it's never getting into trouble. Now, if someone thinks they can trash talk about me, think twice, because in this sense I won't be silent. I hope I'm wrong, and that is just nonsense, but in the meantime, I'll be going about my work quietly, putting bread on the table and looking after the welfare of my family. Update number 4. Well, indeed it was them. They treated me like garbage in the store, and I told them the previous time, a couple days ago. I said I would not keep quiet, and I asked Vanessa about what was going on, as the guy who was attending was playing deaf every time I tried to ask him something or even ask for help. He would just tell me that he did not know what I was thinking about or talking about, and I was already more than irritated every time he said that, and that if I wanted something I should talk to Vanessa. When I talked to her, she just shrugged her shoulders, passing the customer service by. Well, whatever. I asked her if something was wrong, and she said no, and that I better buy fast to feed my family, or at least, quote, the part of it I do care about. I was left with my mouth wide open, and I noticed the girl was shaking in her hands as if she had said the speech that she had been swallowing for days. I asked her what she meant, and she told me to get out of the store, but then I badgered her until she gave me the answer I needed. She told me that she had heard Aaron and I had cruelly kicked Manuel and Maria out of the house when they needed us the most. And while it may seem that this was indeed the case, there are major differences in this fabricated story. For example, at no time do they mention the baby, and according to them, it's as if we suddenly woke up with the desire to get them out of the house, when in fact it was not like that. We looked for alternatives, but Manuel was haughty that night, and they decided to leave. I'm 100% sure that if they have stayed a little longer, maybe Aaron would have changed his mind. But for the record, it was their fault, not ours. I tried to explain this to Vanessa, but she turned a deaf ear. I just said goodbye, telling her that I hoped she would know the truth soon. Something I desperately want. If this keeps getting worse, we'll get to the point of calling them in for a meeting and dotting the I's and crossing the T's. It kind of pains me that they're doing this playing victim thing who never broke a dish, and even more so when Maria must be in the middle of a pregnancy. Update number 5. Hey guys, this is just a quick update. I'm starting to get annoyed. The false rumors against us are going too far as it's reaching international magnitudes, and I say this because my mother, whom I love more than anything in this world, came to me saying that in our old neighborhood in Venezuela, they're talking about our situation even, and how Aaron and I practically abandoned and left out the family to their fate. One of the old ladies in the neighborhood came to her with the gossip, so we can say that it's 100% real, and we know that they were the ones who started it because up until now we've tried to make this situation as airtight as possible. And to make matters worse, the other day, Aaron told me that his boss talked to him, telling that part of his clientele knows the family situation we have, and he said, and I quote, "You know what they told me, Aaron? That I have hired someone worse than a criminal, someone who does not care about his family, and blah, blah, blah." Luckily, Aaron did not keep quiet and explain the situation to his boss, and thank goodness, because he told him that if he kept hearing these rumors, he would have to, quote, "do what's best for the business." He was going to fire him. This is absurd. I will have to talk to them personally, but without Aaron, because if I do it with him, he might beat his brother to a pulp. I want all this to be resolved, but Aaron's job situation gives me an idea, and that is to talk. We can't do it with each person individually, but at least we'll try to do it with those who are worth it, our closest relatives. Update number 6. I'm writing this at night on my new computer. I don't feel quite right doing it for many reasons, but every time I think about it, I tend to feel less bad. For you, it would have been only a couple of weeks, and for those of you who started reading recently, only a few lines already, but the truth is that in all this, so many things happen that it's difficult for me to mention them all. First and foremost, we decided to confront Aaron and Maria about the rumors they were saying about us. By chance, I met Manuel during one of my trips to buy vegetables, and I asked him how he was doing. And he told me that he was more or less okay since he had to leave and look for several jobs, among them to attend to the vegetable stand. I asked him why he was out of uniform, and he told me that he just started the day before, which makes sense since I had passed by there before and did not see him working here yet. He didn't tell me much, but when I told him, "Your brother's fine," along with Jose, I asked him about the children and Maria, and he just said, "They're fine, although I didn't ask you about them." It was then that everything went to hell. You see, some store managers tend to keep a pretty sharp eye on their workers, to the point where they can't do anything but their practical function inside the store. If they get distracted, talk to others too long, or just pull out their phone, even if it's to check the time, the retaliation can be pretty severe. I knew a girl who, just for laughing too much with a customer, sent her to the street, which I consider to be unfair, but anyways. Pepe's supervisor overheard our conversation and noticed that a little bit of disrespect was coming from him, so he got into it. I did not know the details because I left immediately, but to our surprise, we found Manuel and Maria in front of our door that night. Both of them furious. They went as far as to berate Manuel for my supposedly bad treatment of him, bad enough that his supervisor told him he was about to fire him for bad-mouthing a potential client. That's when Maria pulled out her phone to start recording me, apologizing to Manuel for bad-mouthing him during his shift. This made me a little angry, and it got worse when Aaron came from work to find the scene in his living room. We, the women, explained the situation, as the men were struggling with the urge to not knock each other's teeth out. And I then told them that I was not going to make the aforementioned video because it was not the right thing to do, as it was Pepe's fault for being so rude. It was then that Maria decided to do something strange, something I feel she was ready to do. She took her phone and started to send some messages, put it on the table, and waited a bit. After a few seconds, when we were waiting for something we did not know what it was, we heard some voices we could recognize. It was Aaron and Pepe's mother, along with their aunts and some cousins. We did not understand what was going on until Manuel spoke. "All right, family, excuse the call, but you have to know what's happening." And then they began to accuse us in front of the entire family for what was happening, saying things like, first they throw us out of our house along with the children, and now they treat us like garbage that they can treat as they please. And that's when Aaron stood up and, regardless of the video call, grabbed his brother's face and gave him one good punch. Manuel is pretty skinned, so he had no problem falling limp to the floor. Aaron immediately asked Maria to hang up the call, but she could not help but scream and panic, while the other people were also screaming on the phone. He told me, while Maria was helping Pepe to take the phone from her, which I did when she stopped resisting, Aaron began in a leisurely manner to explain why he did that. However, at one point, he said he could not do it anymore, so he left the rest to me. I told the whole family the situation from the beginning, even revealing to some of them the fact that Maria was pregnant, which helped to get them on our side later. We explained that we were good to them in many ways, but that they continued with several irresponsible attitudes that we could no longer tolerate since they did not allow us to move forward in the life project that we have outlined for ourselves once we arrived in this country. Aaron mentioned that Manuel was never determined to learn something that would be useful in the integration, so he would go from job to job to job until he found something that would not consume him so much experience. Several members of the family were absolutely shocked by the pregnancies, and they deeply understood our situation very well, seeing them being rather pathetic, and without the concern to take responsibility for their own mistakes and actions. Manuel regained his composure a few minutes later and went off half asleep to wherever he and Maria were staying. From what I heard, it was a one-bedroom apartment, and Manuel now had several jobs just to help pay for it. I have not heard much from Maria lately. I just know that they're both looking forward to the new baby. As for us, we're doing much better now, to the point that I feel we'll be able to buy a car very soon. I even bought a laptop, something I've wanted for a very long time, and I admit I'm thrilled with it. I can do things more efficiently, and I managed to get on social media just to see statuses from our family saying how disappointed they are in a certain person whose name they always leave out. Ugh, It's painful enough to let go of family and friends like them, but there's no room in our life plan for people who subtract rather than add. So this was a story filled with a lot of drama, petty drama at that. But when the family was mad at OP and her husband, they were missing so many details about the truth. And then OP could not even get her nails done or go to the store because literally, OP's brother-in-law and his wife ruined everything for them in their town. Luckily, at the end of the story, the family gets a little bit of clarity and they basically turn on the brother-in-law and his wife and say, yeah, why are you having so many kids when you don't even have a job that you can hold steady? But I do want to hear from you guys because a lot of the commenters were leaning on both sides saying, yeah, you should help out family, and then the others were saying, no, they did help, and this went way too far. So I want to ask you guys, in the comment section down below, what would you have done? If you're new to the channel, my name's Mr. Reddito. I hope you guys enjoyed these videos. I post every single day, so hit that subscribe button, and just remember, it's cool to be kind. I'll see you guys in the next one.